Welcome back to Brands Hatch for the return of the Triumph Triple Challenge after an almost 2-month break. This is the second round to take place at Brands, but unlike the first round, it's a little bit different because today on the Friday they're going to be racing the Indy circuit, and on the Sunday they'll be taking on the full GP circuit. They had qualifying this morning and it saw favourite and championship leader Rob Guyver nick pole position once more. Second place went to Connor Bean, a wildcard rider this round, and third place went to Phil Atkinson, the big rival for Rob Guyver in the championship. And this weekend marks the halfway point in the season. When it's done and dusted, all the riders' points will be halved, and effectively they'll be almost starting from scratch again for the mad dash for the championship. So then, with qualifying done, let's go see how they do in race 1.
Laps, 8 litres, no problem.
So race 1 then saw Rob Guyver really stamp his authority back on the championship after a 2-month break. Impressive stuff from the man who led from start to finish with the real battle taking place behind him. The next 5 riders only had 2 seconds separating them, and Rob was allowed a little bit of breathing space as they were all battling for the podium, and it allowed him to finish 1 second ahead, again as he always seems to do, keeping an extra bit of gas in for the final lap just to make sure. Winning the battle for second place and taking his first podium of the season was a factory rider from Team 777 RR Volta Petronen. The Thin looking on flying form around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Third place went to the incredibly impressive youngster James Egan, leading the Premier Class Championship and getting another podium in the Elite Class as well as a Premier Class win. So that's race 1 done and dusted. We'll be returning here on Sunday for race 2, and that will be on the full GP circuit, and we'll catch up with the riders in between. Rob Guyver then, championship leader, and that is 7 wins out of 10 races. Pretty chuffed with yesterday's result, mate.
Yeah, I mean, we had an awesome day yesterday. First time back on the bike after a 7-week layoff, you know, so felt a bit rusty in the morning. But qualifying went really well, managed to get pole position, did some really good times as well, she was pleased with, and the race was spot on. I made an awesome start, led start to finish. I know the boys were right close behind me, I could see from my pit signals, but yeah, it was a good race for me. It was nice and comfortable, and it was great to get back on the top spot.
So one of the wildcard riders this weekend at Brands Hatch is Alistair Fagan from Fast Bikes magazine. Mate, how are you finding that?
Hi Luke, how are you?
I want to say hello to you. You've been out there and unbelievably the bike managed to support your weight. Where did you come in the first race, 14th?
12th in the first race.
Sure it wasn't 14?
No, it was definitely 12th. But the most important thing is I set the 8th fastest lap time, which puts me 8th on the grid for tomorrow. So yeah, a bit of a better chance. We had a few issues in qualifying. It's a brand new bike to me, so getting things set up and riding around some of the issues, but it's awesome fun, really good fun out there. Love the GP circuit.
And well, yeah, obviously you've done the Indy circuit, GP circuit, just had free practice for there. How were your times looking? Do you think it'll be competitive tomorrow?
We think so. I mean, we're taking a shock out now. Put a fat voice.
You've run out this shock already.
Yeah. I was top 5 for the first half, and we dropped back to sort of 10. I don't know where I finished up, but I'm not too fussed really. As long as the bike feels good, the changes tomorrow we're going to make are going to be good. So rock and roll.
Quality. Now you've done a lot of racing. Obviously, you're an old man. You've been around the circuits, literally been around everywhere. How are you finding the kind of standard in the TCC?
I mean, I was battling with guys yesterday who were British champions, you know, and I finished 12th. So, you know, the top half of the field are really, really strong. You know, Rob Guyver, British champion, Connor Bean should have been British champion. They're all super quick boys. So, yeah, it's a super competitive series, and I'm working my nuts off.
Now, obviously, we all know you. You're a very focused, serious racer when you're hanging around the paddock. You don't have time for small talk with any others, but one of the great things about the TTC is the Triumph Village and the fact that everyone does help each other out. Have you been getting some advice off people?
It is a proper community. It's so much fun, you know, with the tents here, people lending me stuff, and, you know, a few tips here and there. So, yeah, it's a really friendly atmosphere. But, you know, when it's out there on the track, just, elbows out and hold on.
as you can see, the excitement is building behind me in the Triumph Triple Challenge area here in the paddock on Sunday morning. Race 2 is just moments away, and also we've got a rather special guest. Ross Noble, the comedian, is hanging out, checking out the bikes. He'll be presenting the award to the winner. Obviously, Ross did the sit-down tour with Triumph last year, a massive success, and he'll be doing it again this year as well. We'll get a chat with him later, plus we'll find out all the action from race 2. But first up, I wanted to find out from some rather important people here in the paddock what they think of the Triumph Triple Challenge.
The Triumph Triple Challenge, or TTC as we call it, is one of our most established and successful one-make series. By its nature, one-make means there really isn't any difference between the actual motorcycles, so it all comes down to a natural rider talent, and that's the whole ethos behind the TTC, trying to find the next British talent, and what better to do that than on a British motorcycle. 675 three-cylinder bike, sounds great, looks great, and thrown up some of the best racing we've seen on the support bill for BSB over the last 3 years.
The Triumph Triple Challenge is a close championship, as most of the single-make championships are. What makes the Triumph a little bit better is the fact that the bike's just such a lovely bike to ride. I've ridden them quite a lot. The front end's lovely. It's quite a narrow bike. It steers well. And you know, when you get a championship on, when everybody's on one bike, and it's not such a good bike, yeah, it's fun because you're racing, but it's not as good as when you've got a bike like the 675 Triumph. It's a lovely bike, and it's good to ride, and that's why people enjoy it, and that's why it's good to watch.
Tommy Hill, riding for Swan Yamaha in the British Superbike Championship in 2012. Yeah, like looking at one-make championship series, that's where I started off my career. It was a great starting point because, you know, racing's not cheap, and you know, one-make championship are pretty cheap races for anyone. You know, a racing series to enter. You know, no buying tyres, you crash a few bikes as well, so you get away with that. But it's a great platform for any riders that are starting out, and you know, you don't get onto the grid and think that person next to you's got better tyres or a faster bike.
Well, I think any one-make series, when on the same bikes, the same tyres, you know, same engines, are always excellent for showing, you know, true talent. Because it doesn't matter how much money you've got, and especially something like the Triumph Triple, which is a beautiful bike, like a big 4-stroke 250. So it gives the guys a really good idea of how to ride something, how to get it round a corner, and the cream comes to the crop. So people like Rob Guyver this year, you know, and the chaps that we've had in the past, Luke Jones, you know, was incredible. And these guys are just showing, you know, why one-make series work and why it's always good to spot that talent that wins it. So yeah, it's a good championship, good bikes, and a lot of fun to commentate on.
So we are on the start-finish straight at Brands Hatch, just ahead of race 2. The bikes are lining up behind me. You can always see James Egan there in third place on the grid, and Paul Petrona in second. Massive ride for the factory 777RR rider yesterday, getting his first podium. Looking to build on that. We're just awaiting the arrival of, here he is, pole sitter and race winner from yesterday, Rob Guyver. He'll be looking to make it 8 wins in the championship so far before the points get halved at the end of today's race. I should probably get out of the way now because they're all pretty much ready to go, as you can tell. Even the glamorous ladies will be leaving the grid soon. So let's let them get on with it. We'll bring you all the action from race 2.
Rob Guyver, the winner on Friday on the Indy circuit, starts from pole position but gets rather blocked out into the first turn, and as they hammer down and up Halewood Hill, unexpectedly it's Conor Behan challenging for the lead, and Behan does grab the advantage from the Finn Walter Patronen, surprise runner-up on Friday, as they charge across the top straight. Patronen then gets involved in a skirmish with the championship runner-up, number 5, South Africa's Phil Atkinson. Atkinson finally drags his way through up Druids Hill Bend. Atkinson then running in second place, Patronen in third. A proper international field here, with Cheshire falling to South Africa as we go into Surtees. Phil Atkinson drags himself through into the lead, Patronen in third place. And then Patronen versus Conor Behan. Behan levers his way through uphill into Druids, back into second place for the tall Cheshireman, making this weekend his debut in the Triumph Triple Challenge. Meanwhile, championship leader Rob Guyver desperately tried to get back into contention. Eventually he does get through to third place, but on the final lap Behan has a massive off through Hawthorns, and that leaves Phil Atkinson clear to take victory and cut the advantage to championship leader Rob Guyver. Great ride for the Jack Lilly Triumph team. Atkinson wins.
So, man, still hard at work in the garage, even though we're half an hour, 45 minutes after the end of race 2. In fact, he's just been looking through his notes there with all his timings and setups on. James, another Premier Class win, another third place in the Elite Class, double podium. Chuffed?
Yeah, I think the race went as well as it could for considering our circumstances. But I made a bit of a guess last night. Well, together we all made an educated guess on what we'd go set up for today. And I think it just proved a bit too tricky for us with not having raced here before and at a track that was a little bit wet and everything. And we didn't really have a good setup coming into the GP circuit. And yeah, with limited practice, we just had to go with what we thought was right. And our guess on Friday paid off in the race. That worked out great on the Indy circuit. But our guess today unfortunately went the other way. And I rode the bike as hard as I could. And yeah, fortunately we still came in with third in the points. There was a little bit of luck on our side. But yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I'll take it.
So second place in race 2, following up from your win in race 1. Rob, what happened at the start, mate?
You know what? I made quite a good start. I was second into the first turn, and I thought, that'll do. And I just got proper beaten up going into Druids, down Graham Hills, and sort of just give myself a mountain to climb, really. It's really, really difficult to pass around here, and I was just struggling to get through. And by the time I did get through, 2 boys at the front had sort of cleared off, so got my head down, managed to catch them. I was all lining them up, ready for the last lap dive. Then Connor honestly launched himself off. That was really close. I hope he's all right, by the way.
How scary was that? Because the bike looked like it pretty much went past your head.
Well, to be honest with you, I see that he'd squared the corner off to try and get the run on Phil, so I sort of knew he were going to go a bit sideways. But when he shot up into the air, it was just like, what way do I go? And I just picked the right side, luckily.
That was so close. It looked like at one point he might have actually taken you both out. As you say, no word on Connor yet, so hopefully he is okay. But it must have been a little bit scary.
Yeah. At the time, it was very scary. And all I could think about was, I've lost the gap for Phil. But once the race had finished, then I realised, I hope Connor's all right. And it was a big crash, and I thought I was lucky to get away with it, really.
It's the winner of an incredibly exciting race 2 here at Brands Hatch, and his second win of the season. It's Phil Atkinson, mate. That must have felt good.
Yeah, no, it felt awesome. We got a good start. We went to P3, I think, but just on the first 2 laps, I just tried my hardest just to get into the front, make the passes, and then try to put my head down. And I think I got a bit of a gap, but midway through the race, we just couldn't find any rear grip. So I had to try and sort of slow the pace down a bit and just ride defensive. And just hopefully hold on till the end. I know there was carnage behind me. That's what I didn't want to get involved in, because if you get involved in that, whoever's in the front just breaks away, and it's no good. So, but really, really happy with the results. So hopefully we can keep it going.
So it's amazing how many celebrity hangers-on come and join the TTC paddock to see a bit of exciting racing. I've managed to find Mr. Ross Noble himself, mate. You just giving
up. Yeah, none taken.
Well, I meant more like, obviously us hard workers, we're here week in, week out, and now the sun's out, you thought you'd come down and get involved.
I am actually here to see the bikes. I didn't just come down to. I just wander around with a champagne like that. It's not like the polo. I don't just wander around. Oh, I say. Oh, these bikes are frightfully noisy.
Anyway, what did you think of the Triumph race, mate? That was race 2, quite exciting race.
Yeah, very good, very good. Oh, and a little bit. That was a horrible crash, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see it very well from where I was standing, but like on the screen there, it looked like he went over the front and ran himself over.
It's exactly that Conor Behan, the wildcard, in second place between Phil Atkinson and Rob Guyver. Big high side coming out of Druids, and all we saw was the bike in the middle of the track, and the cameraman's looking for the rider for about 10 minutes, and that's never a good sign. Yet in the trees.
He's still in the air.
You're looking for that, and then he was on the floor, but looked like he had a high side, almost took out both championship rivals, but luckily, hopefully he's okay, but luckily both Rob and Phil were okay. But
it's great though, isn't it? It's like the fact that it's such a, there's two groups.
Yeah.
The guys up the front, they've gone, but yeah, it's proper close racing. Yeah.
I think that's one of the most exciting things about it. You've got the Rob Guyvers, the Phil Atkinson, the guys and the James Deans really looking to push their career on, and you've got the guys coming in looking to establish themselves as riders as well, and they can learn so much from the guys at the front, but because they're all on the same machines, it's a level playing field. So I think that's why you get some of the best racing out there.
Yeah, very exciting.
Will you be coming again now, mate?
Yes.
So that's pretty much it from a sun-drenched Brands Hatch. We've had an awesome 3 days of action-packed racing. The British Superbike boys are out behind us now, and that's our cue to leave. We'll be doing it all again at Cadwell Park, and if you want to find out more information on the riders and the latest championship standings, don't forget to head to triumphtriplechallenge.com.